Hi, this is Dr. E for the Big Data and Bioinformatics course being taught at GVR DSST. This is the Wisdom of Crowd section. So basically what I was going to do in this tutorial is show you some of the graphing features of JMP. This is the new statistical software that we've downloaded onto your computers. It's a really cool program, and it's, as you can tell, it's very similar to Excel. I mean, we have our columns, our rows, things work pretty similar, except the ease at which you can basically manipulate the data. And for large data sets, very complicated data sets, usually we want to use tools like this. So basically what I want to do today is go through our survey data and just kind of get an idea of what are some different ways we can graph it or visually look at the data to give us some clues on what's going on with our survey. Okay. So let's go to graph. So this is the this is the spreadsheet we downloaded into JMP. This contains all of our data. This is when the survey happened. This is survey initials. The weight guess, the age of the person, grade, gender, whether they touched the rock or not. Remember, the actual weight of the rock was 128. So yesterday, or the last time we met for class, we actually used this value to see how far off every individual was from the actual weight of the rock. So given here is basically what they predicted the weight of the rock would be minus the actual. And then we just took the absolute difference of this because this will give us an idea of the accuracy of their guesses, regardless of whether they were up or down. Okay, so let's go to graph. We're going to go to Graph Builder. Okay. So this window should come up. Let's put in the predicted versus actual. So I just kind of want to play with the data, and I'm going to put this, usually what you want to do is put your continuous variables on the y-axis. So remember, continuous variables are basically numbers that go anywhere from 0 to infinity. Okay, we're going to put this here. And you can see, so every dot represents how the actual, or their guess minus the actual weight of the rock. And we can color this any way we want to. Remember in class we thought, well, maybe the women, the women in our study, maybe they made higher guesses because they tended not to, want to pick up the rock. And obviously we surveyed a lot of younger people, so maybe there was an age effect as well. So let's look at gender. I'm going to throw this in here. I'm going to put color. Okay. And you can see it's fairly evenly distributed. So the males are kind of this pinkish color or reddish color, and the females are blue. It doesn't really look like much of a difference here. But again, maybe there is a difference when we look at let's see, by grade. Let's go grade. So I'm going to take this grade here, and I'm going to put it down here. All right. So we take a look here. Again, remember the males are red. It seems with the teachers, so T is teachers, the adults, the males tended to be a little more accurate. Maybe that's because they could pick the rock up. Here we could do the statistics to determine, where, it might be a little top heavy, or the males might be a little more accurate in the 12th grade. But when you start looking around here, it doesn't really seem to be an effect. Here's what we can do. Let's look at the box plots, and that kind of summarizes the data. This is just us visually looking at the colors to see how they're distributed. But we can actually hit this box plot up here. Now we've got the medians for all those guesses, plus the confidence intervals for how that data is distributed in each grade. We can also, so we can take this gender and put it into overlay. Okay, so what that does is it breaks it up by our categories on the x-axis. So again, females are blue, males are red. And if you can look here in the 7th grade, there doesn't seem to be much of an effect here. The meetings are about the same. I think we probably surveyed more males in the 7th grade, but the distribution doesn't look too terribly different. Oh, here's a cool function here. You can always kind of slide this graph up and down. I think that's a really interesting way to look at the data. We look here. Now, once we get to the 8th grade, it looks like the males, actually, they did guess much smaller or closer to the rock than the females. We look at some of these other ones here. Again, there seems to be a slight effect that the males tend to have lower guesses for the weight. And you can see this. Remember, I believe this area here is, or this is 55% of the data. Or wait, 75% of the data, I believe. And then this would be the 95 percentile, I believe. I'll have to check that. But again, you can see that for the most part, the males tended to pick lower values for the weight of the rock. And again, does this mean they're smarter? No, probably not. But what it probably indicates, and you can see that this effect kind of gets larger. Look at the teachers, the adults. You can see a large effect here. That, maybe at this point, the males couldn't pick up the rock, but they start getting older, and then they get a better idea. They can kind of pick the rock up and see how much it weighs. We need further testing to prove this. But again, this gives you an idea of kind of what's going on here. Again, we can do any of these things. We can do tactile contact, and that's what I want you to do on your own. Just play around with this data. Tactile contact. Some of these, actually, the ones that for the teachers did not touch the rock, seem to be more accurate. You can look over here. So again, what we want to do is you need to basically I want you to get a feel for the data. Look through it, see what's different, what's the same. What effects do these types of variables have on the distribution of the data, So I'm going to let you guys play around with the data until next Wednesday, which would be, what's today's date? February 13th. I will see you again on February 18th, and it should be a Wednesday. So when we come in, I want you to give me some of these graphs. And again, you can download any of these graphs. You can print these out. You can save them. So I highly encourage you to make lots and lots of graphs. Get together, discuss them. What do they mean? And by the time we get together on Wednesday, you should have a pretty good idea of, what are some of the trends in the data. All right, thanks.